Greetings. This is Justin Allen with the Elite Nurse Practitioner. Welcome to the Elite Nurse Practitioner Show, podcast dedicated to nurse practitioner entrepreneurism and achieving financial freedom, where I talk directly with nurse practitioners who need help. Listen up, our market is saturated. Jobs can be scarce. We are underpaid. We are undervalued. We are taken advantage of by the sharks within the healthcare system, and frankly, screw that. I'm sick of it, and it's time for a change. And listen, I'm here to help make that happen. We are powerful. We can forge a path where we are in control of our career and ultimately our financial and personal well-being. You do not need to submit to healthcare administrators and your doctor overlords. You do not have to take a measly salary. You do not have to work 50 to 60 hours a week. There is a different way, and I'm here to show you that path. This podcast is raw and unfiltered. I have not talked to the nurse practitioners in this podcast prior to the call outside of an email exchange to schedule the episode. What you're about to listen to is a consultation session between a nurse practitioner and myself. It is real, it is unscripted, it is unplanned, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about. Anything and everything can happen during our conversation. The nurse practitioners in these episodes are struggling with an issue in their professional or financial life, and they have reached out to me for help. My goal is to help the nurse practitioner with actionable advice that will enhance and improve their professional, business, and financial life. My other goal is to hopefully help my nurse practitioner sisters and brothers build a more productive, powerful, and free life. So I hope the content and information within these podcast episodes does just that. All right, onto the episode. Hello, everyone. Today, we will be talking to Traci, who is both a neonatal and psych nurse practitioner. She is practicing in Florida. She operates her own mental health practice, but is looking to expand her business offerings. She is wanting to start an online referral business where she connects nursing colleagues to psych NPs for all their mental health needs. She's needing assistance on how to structure this type of business, how to pay the 1099 contractors, and how to limit her exposure and her ultimate liability. Hey, Traci, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for hopping on this phone call. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So let's get into it. Just tell me about yourself. How long have you been a nurse practitioner for? Where you've been working? I'm really interested in this whole neonatal to psych NP thing. So bring me up to speed.
So I've been a nurse total for 29 years and I was in the NICU for over 20 years and became a neonatal nurse practitioner 12 years ago after I moved to Florida from New Jersey, and did really well in the NICU. Loved the job. It's a high stress environment at times, but it was a pretty good gig. But in the midst of my time in the NICU, I started to have panic attacks and kind of fell into this depression that kind of came out of nowhere for me. Being a nurse practitioner at that time, I was terrified to get help or to say anything to anyone because there was a lot of judgment and stigma related to it. And especially, when you fill out applications, there's that checkbox. Do you have any mental health concerns that could affect your job? And so, those things kept me from getting any help. And ultimately, I ended up kind of having a little bit of a break, which resulted in me needing to get professional help. And it was all related to stuff that had happened years prior. That it turned out I had PTSD and I had to work my way through that. What happened was, in my journey of healing, because most of what I was dealing with was related to my childhood, I had learned that there are not a lot of people that are trained, one, in trauma. I mean, there's a lot more now than it was when I was going through this, but two, specifically in childhood trauma as it plays out in adulthood. And so as I went through my own journey, which, honestly, one part of it resulted in me attempting suicide because I was so afraid to tell anyone how much I was struggling. I had committed myself that I was going to figure out not only how to overcome this, but I was going to get educated so that I could help people who had my experience heal and not have to go through what I went through. And so that's what I did. I went back to school, I think it's about 2.5 years ago now. Became a psych NP, got tons of trauma training, EMDR certified. I'm now an internationally certified trauma treatment specialist. I do a lot of educating about trauma, and I practice now. When I first started, I did exactly what you said, and I started small, and I got a little office, and I was of the mindset that I had to have people come in and pay me $50 an hour. And through, really a matter of 9 months, I've transitioned the entire way I do things, and I've trusted myself to step into what I believe people need. And now, instead of people coming to me 1 hour a week for $50 an hour, they come to me for full intensive days and pay close to $3,000 a day. So I've really been able to grow this thing. And it's amazing to me I call it magic and miracles. That happens in my office all the time. So that's where I am right now.
Wow. Well, good for you. I applaud you. Seriously.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Yeah, that's one hell of an introduction, one hell of a story. Lots of things are going through my mind here. So I guess the biggest thing here is, wow, you really understood your worth very quickly. I mean, you went from $50 an hour to $3,000 for what, an 8-hour day?
Yeah. And I mean, the truth is, part of me getting to that was I spent probably tens of thousands of dollars in getting myself trained and really honing my skills so that I could be the best that I can be for my clients. And I'm still doing trainings all the time because I want to get them where they want to be. And I don't want anybody stuck like I was. Like, my whole tagline is heal yesterday and live today. And that's what I want for people. And I want them to be able to come in and move on with their lives. And that's
Yeah.
largely what happens.
Yeah. I mean, you have your personal experience, then you have, I mean, considerable amount of training. I mean, you're extremely valuable in terms of that aspect goes.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're also doing something you truly love and you're passionate about.
I love every second of it. It's not work anymore for me.
Wow. Good for you. I hope that really lights the fire under some people. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, you're doing what you love and plus you're making great money at the same time. So
I stayed in the NICU for 6 months of building my practice. Part of it was security, and part of it was like the insecurity of I can't give up this paycheck. And this one thing I've learned is taking that leap of faith and trusting yourself is amazing what it will open up for your life if you just trust the process.
Yeah. I mean, you followed the model to the T. I mean, you were working and you started your side business, your little side hustle. That's the best way to do it. Would you not agree?
That was absolutely the best way to do it. It just was terrifying. Even when I was making more than I was making in the hospital, it was terrifying to give up that paycheck after all these years of getting one.
Yep. No, it's a security blanket. It took me years to get over that fear. I mean, years, you know?
Well, I mean, the truth is I didn't get pushed out the door. I was already really burned out in the job, and I had a really, really bad code one night and it ended bad. And while I did the best job that I could, and the practitioner that was when they did, the fallout from the doctors above us was like very judgmental, and we didn't do anything wrong. And ultimately what happened was that incident, I left that day and I never went back because I just thought, I'm not getting treated like this anymore. I got to find my own way.
Sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes that's what must happen for you to break free, you know?
Yeah.
Some sort of negative thing happens in your job or you get fired or, whatever. And sometimes it's the best thing to happen to you. I mean, something like that's not a good thing to happen, but you know what I mean, though. Yeah.
It's very bittersweet the way it ended, but yeah.
Right. So before we get started with what you want to do, talk to me a little bit about how you got started. So you were working and you started the side business. So where were you at financially in your life? Like, were you pretty stable? Were you able to take a risk?
No, I wasn't, because when I moved down here, I live in Florida now. I moved from New Jersey. I had a house up there that I had rented, and the renters, as soon as I left, stopped paying the rent. And they learned how to play this game where if I tried to evict them, they would file for bankruptcy. And so the bankruptcy court would protect them. And this went on for almost 5 years because they wouldn't pay for the bankruptcy, and then it would stop. And then I would apply to evict them, and then they would file for bankruptcy again, which would protect them. And so finally, after 5 years, the court said, okay, no more protection. But in the process of all of that, I spent all my savings trying to keep that house going. And then ultimately the house ended up needing to get foreclosed on, and it just was a nightmare. And so I finally have recovered enough that 2 years ago, I was able to buy my house, and I was in the process of trying to get myself back financially. But I honestly, full disclosure, I took out part of my retirement because I wanted to get this practice going, and it just was where I was in that moment. And I decided I had to accept my finances for what it was then and just be committed to getting it better as time goes on.
Yeah. Wow. So, you took a considerable risk.
Yeah, I did. When you've been through like a mental health collapse, and then you're working in a scenario where you feel like it's getting challenged constantly, I knew I had to do something to get myself into a better place. Plus, this has been the thing that drives me, knowing that I want to work with people who've been through the kind of stuff I've been through, and professionals especially. You wouldn't believe the number of professionals that are going through this that are holding it inside. And just where I worked alone, 3 of my colleagues had died by suicide in an 18-month period. And they were all people that everyone was like, we never knew there was a thing going on. So I've become a public voice too for mental health amongst healthcare professionals because, we're all human.
Sure. So the psych practice that you got going, you've been open for how long now, you said?
Well, March 1st will be a year. I started taking clients in January of last year because I did a couple of telehealth. I did some telehealth sessions.
Yeah. So 10 months. You haven't really been open that long. And so bring me up to speed with where you're at there. So you started from $0 to $3,000 a day now, and you are doing this full time, correct?
Yes.
Do you mind sharing any kind of numbers? I mean, you don't have to be, you don't have to be specific, but maybe just some general numbers. How's your revenue looking monthly now, 10 months in?
So it's good. In November, made $30,000.
Wow.
December
Good.
wasn't that much because I got really sick and I wanted to take some time off. And now January's
Sure.
here, and it's this month I'm probably going to make about the same, about 30 to 35,000.
How far out are you booked out?
Until April.
Wow.
I have some openings between now and then, but yeah, for the most part. And I also am doing a couple of retreats out in California, and they're full too.
Wow. Good for
And through
you.
those retreats, I should clear, I'm doing 2 at one time out there. So while I'm out there for a week, I should clear about $12,000.
Good for you. That's awesome
Thanks.
to hear. Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it actually is shocking to me hearing these words leave my mouth.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, less than a year. Wow. This is going to be so inspiring for people. So just congratulations. I mean, why the hell do you need help from me?
Okay, so here's the thing. In the midst of all of this, and because I am a trauma professional, I'm involved in a lot of online Facebook groups that are for, people that are dealing with PTSD and things. And within those groups are nurses who are struggling. And because I'm an active participant in them, and most people know that I'm a provider, they will reach out to me through a private messenger and want my guidance with how they can heal from what they're dealing with. And a lot of nurses, so many nurses were contacting me. And it got to the point where I was like, and not just these nurses, but my friends and colleagues I have in the area, everybody's struggling. So I decided one night on a whim, I got to start at least a Facebook group where people can just connect within the field safely and talk about the things they're struggling with. And so within 2 weeks, it grew to almost 800 people. And now I'm kind of like, they're still private messaging me and I don't have the time to help. And I'm in this place where I feel like I need to do more. And so because I've called the group Nurses Healing Nurses, what I would love is to connect nurses who need good mental health care that is trauma informed to be connected to psych mental health nurse practitioners who want to provide that care. And I wasn't even sure if this was the thing I wanted to do, but I stuck a post out. I'm in a PMHNP group on Facebook. And I just said in the group, is anybody interested in this? Because a lot of PMHNPs primarily do medications. And that was yesterday morning. As of right now, I have 65 responses of people saying, 1, I want to do it. And 2, I also want your trauma training. So my plan is to get these people all trauma trained, and then they will connect. I'll have this group to connect nurses who contact me or send them to the website. But I can't quite piece together how is this model and how do I do the connection?
Sure. So before we move forward, how can people listening, how can they connect here? So they just go to Facebook groups. What are they going to search for if they want to join this?
Well, so I'm going to build a website, a Nurses Healing Nurses website. And what I'm thinking is I will on the website, like have some blog posts and things like that and mental health tips. But I want the primary thing is to be, you go to the website and here is this list of psych practitioners who are available. And then, I don't know, is there a membership where nurses can pay X number of dollars a month and then they get mental health care? Do they pay per visit? Like, it's just that whole, like, how do I financially structure it? And yeah, I'm having a hard time with it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I do something kind of similar to this. So I should be able to help you out here. I mean, I don't help people with their, mental health needs, but I help people with their, their business needs and getting a practice started and that sort of thing, and, finances and stuff. So it's kind of a similar model, but just different service offerings essentially. Okay. So right now you are just utilizing a Facebook group.
Yes.
Okay. You keep that for sure. That's going to be your lead funnel.
Right.
People like that. And people can find that now, correct? It's called.
Yes. Nurses Healing Nurses.
Nurses Healing Nurses. Okay.
There's a page and then there's the Nurses Healing Nurses support group.
Okay, sure. So so anyone can go to Facebook and search that and it should pop right up. Okay, cool. So then you want to, let me just kind of run this down real quick so I understand what you want to do. So you're wanting to basically just connect psych NPs with people within the nursing field. This could be anyone from a CNA to a DNP, right?
Yeah.
And so you're going to connect psych NPs with your nursing sisters and brothers, basically, and you're going to assist them through trauma and their mental health needs.
Yes.
Is it going to be generalized mental health needs, or are you going to specialize in more of the trauma PTSD?
Well, Well, that's part of what I'm not sure about. Like I can leave that up to the psych NPs, but I do want to require everybody who does this through Nurses Healing Nurses is going to have to go through the trauma training that I'm writing, because I want to know that everybody has at least a baseline, because the truth is in PMHNP school, there's very little trauma. And, even a lot of the people that have reached out to me are primarily medication prescribers and have all acknowledged I need lots of trauma training.
Yeah.
So I think it's essential because that's really what we're all going through right now.
Sure. So basically you want to help the nurses with these traumatic events that they experience. I mean, we've all experienced it. I mean, I guarantee you every single one of us have some form of PTSD. I know
sure, especially with COVID.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've seen some crazy shit in the ER. I mean, we all have. So I guess that's my question though. Do you want to focus more on the PTSD within nursing, or you're just going to let the psych MPs that, that you refer these clients to, let them take care of all their mental health needs? Or is it going to be just trauma, or both?
I want the psych MPs to do it, but part of what I want them to get is usually very often when you're dealing with someone with anxiety or depression, we very easily want to medicate that away, but it doesn't go away that easily because there's an underlying trauma usually.
Right.
And so I want to really help them understand and encourage them to go deeper into, this is more than just a surface level. I see anxiety and depression. Like what more is going on?
Okay. Gotcha. I mean, step number one is the website. You said you're getting this developed?
I'm going to be getting it developed. It's not yet.
Going to be getting it developed.
That's one thing I need to get someone to do it, because I built my current website and it took me forever because it is not my zone to be in.
Sure.
So I need to hire someone to get that done.
Okay. If you're going to create some sort of some sort of membership kind of thing where people can log in, maybe have like a private message board or even private content from you, or a place where they can, in a secure portal, talk to the psych NP or something like that, you're going to need to have some sort of membership program built into this. So before we move further there, what were you thinking about in terms of the structure of it goes? Were you thinking about a monthly membership fee or pay per service? What were you thinking?
What I was thinking is you would tell me what you think because I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm worried if I do a membership, like a flat rate, PMHNP still need to get paid per session. So I don't know how viable that is to say, unless I'm going to pay like $200 a month.
Sure. From what I've seen, okay, now I'm not a mental health specialist. You don't want to come to me with your mental health needs. What I've seen though, on like lots of these different websites that do offer psych services, via telemed, what I'm seeing is that it's generally a monthly fee, and that monthly fee includes a certain amount of visits and then medication management and those sorts of things. So from your experience, how often will essentially the nurses are going to be patients to these psych NPs, right? So these patients, how often are they going to need to be seen?
Probably weekly for a little while.
So then
2 or 3 months.
Okay. And so each session is going to last how long? Approximately 1 hour. So it's going to take the psych NPs 4 hours a month, plus maybe another hour for administrative things like sending meds, charting, and those sorts of things, right?
Right.
Okay, so that's 5 hours that you are expecting out of each psych NP for each visit or for each patient for the month. So going rate for a psych NP is $80 an hour.
Sounds about right.
Give or take. Yeah, something like that. Right. Okay. Yeah. So you're looking at $400 for the psych NP's time. So you're looking at $400. I would certainly hope some of these psych NPs are doing this out of the kindness of their heart a little bit as well.
Right. When I did say that in the Facebook post for all of them, I hope that this is something they do on the side to help out nurses right now, because this is a tough time.
Sure. So then, I mean, their time is valuable, your time is valuable, but you also want to, you want to be charitable here as well and, help people and that sort of thing. But I mean, everyone has to be compensated for their time, and you got to pay the bills. This isn't going to be free. You have a website hosting. I mean, there's going to be a lot of stuff on the back end here that needs to be paid for. And so I think that most people in nursing, especially RNs and NPs, we should all have somewhat of a disposable income. I mean, we all make pretty good money for the most part compared to the average American. Yeah, I mean, we do. And so, I'm thinking anywhere between $300 to $500 a month is probably reasonable for something that, is going to help someone. If I was going through some significant mental trauma, I'd be happy to pay someone $1,500 over 3 months to, to see the light on the other side.
Well, and that's a good point because, I'm a good example of that, right? People who have been struggling for a long time and have been in the wrong mental health care, when they hear about me, they're like, yep, I'll pay you $3,000 to come take care of this in 3 days.
Correct. Absolutely. That is
I
worth.
just had an aha moment.
Right. So that aha moment here it's called value-based pricing, right? What is the amount of value you are delivering here? It's priceless.
Right. And the thing for me that's important with this is because when nurses will contact me, I will say, you need to find a therapist. And almost across the board, they'll respond back and say, there's no good trauma therapist in my area. So part of the value in this too is this entire group of psych MPs are going to be trauma trained.
Correct.
And not just book smarts. Like I'm going to actually get them together and I'm going to supervise them and help them grow their skills.
Yeah. This is going to be amazing. So,
and that's another question I have too, if you don't mind. Like, should I pay them for this course that I'm writing if they're agreeing to come do this through Nurses Healing Nurses? I mean, should I charge them?
I think you have some sort of no solicitation kind of clause in a contract that basically states that, listen, I'm teaching you how to do this and you're going to do it for me. And then you'll need to have some sort of clause in there that states, you can't do this for 2 years or whatever after you leave. Or it's not necessarily a non-compete, it's a non-solicitation.
Okay.
I mean, I have a contract that I could provide you that might help with something like that. But, anyways, just email me after we're all done with this. So, I mean, you don't want to train these people and then they just leave. And then, ultimately the patient's screwed, right? So, that's going to be up to you if you want to charge for that or not. I think if they're working for you, I think that it should be provided, as long as they sign a commitment with you.
Mm-hmm.
If they're
1099, are they actually working for me?
Technically, I mean, they're a contractor. Yes. I mean, technically they are working for you. They're just contracted with you versus being employed with you. That's mostly just an IRS thing that you need to worry about. Yeah. It's basically, it comes down to employment taxes. So as a 1099 contractor, you're just avoiding paying any kind of employment tax on it, which saves you something like 7 or 8% of what you're paying them. Yeah. So employment taxes come out to be, I think 16% total. So that's the advantage of a 1099. Yeah, exactly. You get to avoid paying that. So, I mean, technically they are working for you, but they're just not working for you. Like they're contracted with you.
But then would they still be responsible for their own insurance?
So that's going to be up to you. You can make that a requirement, or you can purchase some sort of large group policy. Now, this would be a telemedicine policy, okay? And the price of it will grow. It'll scale with how many states you're going to be in. So if you are going to be doing this in 20 something states and you have this is going to be a custom malpractice policy that you would need written. Okay. And so if you're going to be in 20 something states, it's probably not going to be cheap. All right. What I did when I had my telemedicine HRT practice before I sold it, I hired all the NPs as 1099 contractors and they were on a production-based compensation model. And so it was very little risk for me, right? They didn't get paid unless they saw patients. So
that's kind of what I think I would like, because full disclosure, my practice is where my heart is. This is something I feel like I need to do. And really my hope is eventually somebody will want to buy it. But for now, I want to build it.
No, I mean, that's the ultimate goal with most businesses, right? You cash out and you walk away and get to go hang out on a beach. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. Yeah. That's how I structured mine. I required them to have their own malpractice policy. I paid for a malpractice policy at first, but when it came time for renewal or when I hired new NPs onto it, I didn't want to increase my premium and I didn't want to renew the policy. And so I required them to have their own professional policy. Most NPs should already have their own personal professional policy anyways.
Right.
Right? I mean, most people should. Yeah. So it's basically just adding you as an endorsement to it. That's it.
Okay.
So when you contract with them, they would sign the contract, giving you a commitment of 1 year, 2 years, whatever. You will train them. You'll pay them production, 50% of collections, whatever it may be. And then they will endorse you on their malpractice policy. So you would want them to show you proof of that. So they would show you the certificate of insurance from the malpractice policy. And on that certificate of insurance, the COI, it should name your LLC or your corporation, whatever it may be, as an endorsement. So in case anyone ever sued that psych NP, they're also going to sue you. That's just how it works. When they sue you, they sue your business too. So you need to make sure that you are endorsed on that policy so that way you're covered.
Okay.
That would be the cheapest way to do this because, like I said, most NPs should already have their own personal policy anyways.
Right.
You should make it a requirement. I mean, for a little part-time business, little part-time side gig, for a psych NP, this policy shouldn't cost more than $1,000 or something through Berksey or CMNF Group. It shouldn't be that much.
Yeah.
So, and I think that a lot of these people are going to be doing this, from a charitable standpoint anyway. So I think that shouldn't be much of a problem to ask them that. When you scale and grow this, you get to a point where you can buy a group policy, then so be it. I just don't know if you're at that point right now. And I don't know if you want to take that kind of risk yet.
No, I don't, to be honest with you.
All right. I hope everyone's enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a quick break to thank everyone listening and also give a big thank you to all of my social media followers and email subscribers. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our email list at www.elitenp.com and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Email subscribers will receive updates on new weekly podcast episodes, multiple weekly articles we publish, new courses, and everything else related to helping you succeed. Remember, all elite nurse practitioner courses are designed to help you build a niche practice, increase your financial strength, and to break free from the rat race. If I can break free and that other countless nurse practitioners can break free, then so can you. Additionally, please share this podcast with your other nurse practitioner sisters and brothers out there. The more NPs that venture out on their own, the stronger our profession will become. Now, let's get back to the episode. That's how I would structure that in terms of paying the nurse practitioner 1099, and you need to pay them some sort of percentage of production or pay them a flat rate for each patient or each consultation or something.
Okay.
Have you put thought into this at all?
Well, actually, what you're saying is really the thing that I was thinking most about doing.
Okay.
Is that what you mean?
And that minimizes your risk if you're paying them production.
Right. They all, when they responded, some of them went to do like 1 or 2 a week and some went more than that. So I kind of would like to be able to set it up that even the practitioners can go in and look and sit and decide for themselves how many patients are willing to see.
So what you could do with this is that you can have a calendar that the psych NP will get in there and create their own availability. And then this calendar is basically public to each state or whatever it may be. And then the patient can get in there and then just pick whatever availability there is. And then it just happens to land on whatever NP is available at that time. So that way you're not having to spend hours and hours and hours building schedules out. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you use an EMR like Simple Practice, I talk about Simple Practice a lot because it's just such an easy EMR. It's just,
I have Simple Practice.
It's so simple. It's the easiest EMR in the world. I wish it had a little bit more medication management in it, but maybe they'll build that out at some point. But yeah, what you do is that you could use the calendar integration from that EMR and put it into the website or the membership on the back end or whatever. And that calendar would be available for each state because you can have multiple calendars. And then the psych NP would just put their availability there. And then the patient would just load up the calendar. It's integrated into your website and it'll just show the availability. They'll click it and then the psych NP gets an email notification. This is all automated. You don't have to worry about it.
Okay. So if I
do.
have 5 psych NPs from one state, though, they'd all be able to share the same calendar?
Correct. Yep. Exactly. It would be one calendar per state. You can kind of set that up on the back end.
Okay.
And so you have the patients select their state, for example, and then a calendar would load up and it would have the psych NPs. Or you could have the psych NPs listed out by state. So you'd have an alphabetical order from Alabama to what's the last state. But yeah, anyways.
Wyoming?
Wyoming. Yeah, there we go.
Maybe, I don't know.
I was like YZ, but yeah.
That is what I would like to do. Because really what I would like to do is put all of a profile of each of them on there so that even the patients can select which one.
So then you could do that. So you could just have a profile. So on your website, you could have just, a list of states. The patient clicks the state. It lists out each psych NP and then a little summary. They click on that psych NP and then that psych NP's calendar shows up. You could do that too. That would be super easy to set up.
So then I would leave it to I would still have to set up the calendars though, right? They would tell me what days and times they want to be available.
No, in Simple Practice, they would just log in and they just get in there and put their own availability in there. You don't have to do any of this.
Right. Yes. Because I have very simple practice because it's just me.
Right.
So
no, but
I haven't even
You can use it. I used it.
Okay.
And I had like, I don't even remember now. I had like a dozen NPs working for me.
Okay.
And they
I
just
will
put all
definitely
their,
check
and
that
they
out.
put their own availability in there. Yeah. Because remember, you want to try to automate this as much as possible. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you do that, that shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. In terms of a website goes, I'm kind of thinking that it could either just be basically just a public site. They land on the website. It talks about what it is that you do, maybe record a video, have blog posts, have articles, just have that social proof there so people can see that, you're not full of shit, basically, like you are what you
Right.
say you are. Yeah. And then they can, go through the content and then schedule appointment or whatever, or meet our providers. They can go through it and they click on it. It loads up the calendar. They click it and they would schedule the appointment. And then you could take a $50 deposit or whatever it may be. I mean, this is super simple to set up. This would not be that hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Easy for you to say.
No, it really wouldn't. You're gonna need a web designer who knows what the hell they're doing here. So when we're done with this, I'll shoot you an email of my web designer. He's created over like 50 NP websites already for elite NP members. He's designed all my websites. The guy knows what he's doing. He should be able to help you streamline this.
Okay.
Yeah. This shouldn't be that big of a deal.
I don't know if this is unethical or not. It's another way I looked at it is there ever a model where like the practitioner would pay me to be listed on the site and then I'm basically just a referral source for them?
I don't think so. I don't think there's anything unethical about that. You're basically a lead generator for patients.
So what do you think about that idea? Like, does that even have less liability to it?
That would pretty much have zero liability for it because you're just going to feed them the patient.
Right.
And then they're in charge of billing. They're in charge of everything else. You're just going to be more like a job posting kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like you're just going to be there feeding clients. And then once the client gets sent to the psych NP, your job's done. You're just a lead funnel, basically.
Yeah, I kind of like the sound of that. It sounds less, it sounds like there's less liability to it. And then it's easy for me, like, although I'd probably make more money the other way around.
I was going to say with anything with business or investments, the more risk, the more reward.
Right.
So what's your
I think part of it
tolerance
for me is I'm trying to do a good thing. Like, I don't know, I guess part of me, this is like my way of giving back because now I am making so much money in my practice that I want to be able to help people that don't have $3,000 a day to pay someone
Sure.
like me.
Right.
So yeah, really, it is kind of just like, let me connect you all. And then maybe I do charge for the course that I'm writing, which I'd make good money from that too. So,
well, what do you want? Do you want to manage a large telemedicine practice?
Not in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, because that's what this is going to turn into. Okay, this will be a large telemed practice. There will be patient complaints. There will be technical issues. There will be logistical issues. There will be administrative, regulatory issues. There are going to be things that you will need to address and go through to make sure that this thing is done correctly. If you don't want that kind, you don't.
I don't have the brain power for it, and my practice and what I'm growing is where my heart is.
Okay.
This is just this thing where I feel like I've got to do something to help get people connected to therapists who are qualified to help with trauma. People meeting nurses. Right.
Okay. So then what I would do if I was you is I would create something similar to like what, I've done with the Elite NP. So you create this website and you provide a lot of free content on there. Nurses get on there, they read your articles, they watch your videos, whatever it may be. And, you're helping them out, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they decide that they want that one-on-one support, with a psych NP or something, then you could have the directory on your website that then directs them to that psych NP for the help that psych NP has been trained by you and is certified by you to help them out. And then you could either charge for the course or the training or whatever, and then charge the psych NP maybe a small monthly fee to be in the directory. Now you could do that.
And I'm wondering if that's the membership. Like the psych NPs have a membership. And so I'll continue to write courses and put up there that they'll have access to, as well as once they've gotten training through me, get listed in the directory.
I like that idea.
Yeah, I like that too.
I think that's awesome. Hell, I'm
so your guy who said yours, well, you can't have it. You can buy it.
That's a great idea. That's such a fantastic idea. I mean, you're going to be helping so many people, making a nice little side income too. I mean, this is just a win-win all around.
So the guy who set up your website, wouldn't it be basically the same kind of thing?
I mean, it would be similar. I don't have a directory of providers that pay me a monthly fee or something like that. Yeah. But I mean, the overall structure would be similar because you're going to be a content provider. That's going to be your job. Your job is to provide the content, right?
Right.
And to generate the leads. And then the psych NP's job is to treat these patients. And then your job is to train them on how to do it. So, I mean, my website's not really a lead generator or anything like that, but I provide a lot of content though. So in that aspect, yeah, it's very, very similar. So this is like a hybrid of a telemedicine practice and like a content blog kind of thing. This is an interesting hybrid.
All right. Do you do your courses through like Thinkific or Kajabi or one of them?
Yeah, I use Teachable. I mean, they're all pretty much the same thing. Yeah. I mean, there's differences, but for something like this, I don't think don't get analysis paralysis over it.
Do you know if there's an easy way that I can give CEUs for this stuff?
I wish there was. I'm going through the credentialing process right now, and it's expensive and it's somewhat time consuming. With the AANP, I believe there's an option where you can just like pay a one-time fee to get one course credentialed. I mean, I have like 18 courses with a dozen plans still for the future, so like I have to be a CME provider so I can just provide CME for each course. For you, if you're going to have just one course,
no, I've already written probably 10.
Oh, well, I mean, would this all be bundled into one thing or?
Well, they would all go on there and then if I do the membership for practitioners, then I think I would just let them all be included. Or there might be, they would all be included. Because I was looking at Florida State this morning for doing CEs through CE Broker. If I just got approved through Florida, can anybody in the country use the Florida CEUs?
I believe so.
Because that's only $250.
I believe so. I believe once you're credentialed with one board of nursing to offer CME, I believe anyone else can use that. I believe. Don't quote me. I'm not 100% on that, but I believe that's the case.
Okay. Even as I'm thinking through this, I'm like, this is probably, if I do the membership thing, I can also almost do a student thing where I can link practitioners who have the experience now with students who are coming up, and they can even make money that way to be consultants for new students who want to do trauma stuff.
It sounds like there's a real lack of this kind of education within the nursing model. And it sounds like you're going to fill that gap. You're going to fill that need.
Well, and the truth is there's a lack of it in even the mental health model.
Sure. I believe that.
But since I'm a nurse, I'm focusing on the nurses, and there's a huge lack. Huge.
Yeah. This right here is the true definition of a niche. So like this is fantastic. You've identified your target market. You've identified the specific service you're going to provide. You've identified a specific problem that affects a specific group of people. Like this is truly the definition of a niche business. So congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Anyone listening to this, like this is what it is, guys. A specific problem for a specific group of people. Yeah, this is great. It sounds like you already have the marketing aspect here pretty much down. I mean, you already have this Facebook group and this lead generation. I mean, I'm sure this will just organically grow. I mean, you could post some ads out there if you wanted to. I mean, you have this podcast. I'm sure some psych MPs will be reaching out to you. So yeah, I mean, do you have any questions about the marketing aspects of it?
No, to be honest, I'm not that worried about it, because as soon as one more nurse hears about Nurses Healing Nurses, they share it with 10 friends. And I think as the psych MPs come on board and they share the group, like it's been growing very quickly. So I'm not as concerned about that.
Even better. So, I mean, you don't even have to spend money on marketing with this. Your marketing is going to be more of an organic thing. So that's going to be through the content you provide.
Right. Yeah. I did a couple Facebook posts when I first started the group to kind of get it out there, and that got me quite a few people. But now it's just kind of growing.
Yeah. Okay. So then do you have any other questions about how you're going to build this out? I think that if you're going to be doing a directory thing, it should just be more or less a contract between you and the psych NP to where they just pay you a monthly fee to be in the directory. And then you provide them the training, maybe for a loading fee or something, or like an initiation fee, something like that. Like they have to pay the fee, they get the training from you. And then for a small monthly fee, they get maintained in the directory, and then you keep providing them, patients basically. I think that's how I would set that up.
And ongoing education.
Correct.
I like it, especially like because the one thing I was trying to because this big course I'm writing is going to be a 5-day intensive course, and it will be worth a lot more than when I just stick out there for like 1 or 2 CEUs. So I like the idea of the loading fee and saying, if you want to sign up, here's the fee to sign up with the website and get this training, and then you go into the directory.
Correct. Exactly. And then they pay you a monthly fee, $200 a month or $100 a month or whatever it may be. Now, you need to be strict on who you let into this, because you don't want to oversaturate yourself here.
Right.
You don't want
Well,
30 providers for one state. Yeah, it just won't make any sense. So I think you need to be selective.
yeah, I'm planning to do that. And I don't know if there's 30. Well, we'll see. But, again, a lot of people, their job primarily is medication management, and a group of 2,500 people, 64 responded and said, yes, I'm interested.
Right.
So I think it's still going to be, not everybody wants to do therapy.
Sure. That 64 people might be just enough. I mean, that might be all you need. I think the market will tell you, where to go with this. I think the world will tell you. You'll know when you need more. So this is going to be an open, closed enrollment kind of thing, I believe.
Okay. Do you think this is
Yeah.
something that would be sellable at some point?
The business itself,
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I think if you can scale it to a point, I think it would be something that you could sell if you wanted to. I think that you probably wouldn't want to.
Well, yeah, if I keep my liability
you'll-
low, and it's information I'm putting out anyway.
Right. I mean, I think you'll enjoy it. I don't think you'll want to sell it.
Yeah.
I mean, this
you're
is
probably
something
right.
this will be a real hands-off thing for you. I don't think you'll want to.
I do want to retire at some point, though.
Yeah, well, fair enough. How old are you?
54.
54. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What's your goal there? 5 years, 10 years? What?
No, not before I'm 65. If then. I just enjoy what I'm doing too much. It's taken me this long to step into this. So
yeah. Would you even know what to do with yourself if you were retired? Or
I wouldn't, but really what I want to do is go do plant-based psychedelics with trauma survivors in Costa Rica and Jamaica at some point.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And that's the cool thing about this is I could do that from Costa Rica. I'm actually supposed to go to Jamaica and do it, full disclosure. So, that's part of what I'm growing too from my own personal stuff that I'm working with people.
I went to Costa Rica last year and I worked a little bit while I was down there. I was doing some telemedicine and stuff. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This company I'm connected with and I'm probably going to start with, I'll be there between 5 weeks and 3 months. So I won't be doing intensives here. So this would be good to have, this extra income too, as I hone my skills down there until it gets legalized in the United States.
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever that's going to be. Yeah. All right. Well, do you have any other questions at all? I mean, I think this is a great idea. I think this will do very, very well for you. I mean, I don't think you'll make $10 million from it, but I think you will make a very, very healthy, side income. And I think you'll be able to help a lot of people.
No, you have helped me tremendously. And I have so much more focus than I did before we talked.
Good.
I have a direction now.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, please tell us how people can find out about this. Like, have you created the domain name yet? Or you just have this thing? Yeah, you do? Okay.
I have the domain name, but I'm actually doing a retreat for nurses. So what I've done is created a webpage for the retreat, and its domain name is redirected to the retreat page right now. So if people want to contact me about it, you can go to the Nurses Healing Nurses page on Facebook and or find me on Facebook, Traci Powell, or just reach out. I also have TraciPowell.com. So Traci at TraciPowell.com will get to me.
And that's Powell. How do you spell your last name?
Powell.
Okay. All right. And then the domain name is going to be what? Because remember, this is going to come out for probably another month and a half, 2 months. So
It'll be Nurses Healing Nurses.
NursesHealingNurses.com.
Yes. Yeah. So by the time this comes out, it will be, I hope to have the website done by then.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, as soon as I find the right person, I'm going to tell them to get on it.
Nah, like I said, I'll shoot you my guy's information. He's on top of stuff. So, okay. So NursesHealingNurses.com, Nurses Healing Nurses Facebook group, TraciPowell.com, or just find you on Facebook, Traci Powell.
Well, by then, just say Traci at Nurses Healing Nurses, because I'll have that set up too.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And it's Traci, Traci.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a separate question?
Sure.
I mean, it's kind of not separate, but because I'm trying to conceptualize as well. So I bought the URL, the Trauma Psych NP, because that's where I thought I would put all of my courses. So I'm just like in my head, I'm like, should I have it called that and then put Nurses Healing Nurses underneath of it where that's part of it? Like, because I'm also trying to brand myself because I have so many things I'm doing and I'm trying to kind of consolidate how do people get to me, and you know what I'm saying?
The other domain name was called what? The Trauma Psych NP?
Yeah.
So what? The TraumaPsychNP.com.
Yes.
I think that would make sense for a blog or a content, specifically to psych NPs. So you could have one website there for psych NPs, talking to them about trauma and that sort of thing. And then the Nurses Healing Nurses, that's for the patient.
So two totally separate websites.
exactly. Two totally separate websites. They're kind of connected to each other. I mean, you can link them to each other if you wanted to, but the traumapsychnp.com, that could be maybe where you have the course. If people just want to buy the course and not be in the directory, then they could do that.
Well, is that where I should have the membership and then say, once you have a membership, you will be listed on the Nurses Healing Nurses directory?
Yes.
Yeah, it makes more sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Damn. Like I said, I'm jealous. This is really cool.
Well, thanks. And hey, if you want to help me with it, I will be more than happy to partner with you.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm honestly probably gonna be really interested in, helping you out with this. Yeah. So cool.
Here's the challenge for me. I can heal you mentally in so many ways. Business, not my thing. I've got great ideas.
Yeah. Everyone has their strong suits. Don't come to me with your problems about your depression and anxiety. I have no patience for it. I'm the wrong person to talk to.
And I have no patience for this. I want
Right.
to create it. I want to make it happen, but I don't want to deal with all this.
Right. Yeah. I mean, different strokes for different folks. Right. So,
Well, seriously, if you sleep on it tonight and you want some part of it so you can help it happen faster, I'm happy to do whatever we can do.
sure. Absolutely. For sure. So, hey, listen, I like to end the episodes with you asking me a question. Do you have a question for me?
Well, my question for you is what's coming up in the future for your, with courses and what you're doing? Because you've done a lot to help me, way more than I could possibly tell you. Like your guidance, I've done the ketamine course. So that's really one of the things that catapulted me into really looking into psychedelic assisted therapy. And I'm just wondering what more you have coming out and what's on the horizon for you.
Sure. So we have the group purchasing organization thingy we're kind of coming up with. It's going to be just basically a list of preferred vendors that are going to offer all elite NP, members, elite NP readers, pretty significant discounts on, a multitude of medical supplies and those sorts of things. The elite NP marketing agency, that's pretty much in the final steps of getting that launched. By the time this podcast is released, it should already be out. So we got that. I'm contemplating some videos. I'm not too sure yet about that. This podcast right now is taking a lot of my time up. In terms of courses go, we got all kinds of cool courses coming out this year. A genetic counseling course, hormone replacement therapy pellet course, a PRP course, how to lower your taxes course, an HR for the nurse practitioner practice course. I mean, there's just so much stuff going on. I don't even know where the hell I even got the time for this.
I feel you.
Yeah.
You should have a trauma psych NP course.
Well, hey, you let me know.
I'll be in the works.
Cool. All right. Well, hey, listen, do you have any other questions for me?
No, I think I'm good right now. I really appreciate it. I feel more focused. And just, if you don't mind sending me the website stuff. Do you by chance have any, an example contract of this kind of thing?
Not really. I'll shoot you over the contract that I have and just kind of tell me what you think.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, hey, listen, I appreciate talking to you. I appreciate you coming on. This is a really cool idea. And I wish you the best.
I appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Okay. Cool. Awesome.
Take care.
Take care. All right,
Bye-bye.
That was Traci. Wow, what a great idea and what a service she is going to be providing, just all nurses in general. The big thing here I want everyone to walk away with is the whole target market aspect of what she is doing. She is providing a service that is going to fix a specific problem to a specific group of people, okay? That is so important. It is the foundation to almost every single business. The more niched you can get, the better. The more specific you can get, the better. Everyone, the world is a very, very big place, okay? The internet is a very, very big place. The internet is loud. There's a lot of stuff going on all the time, right? We are just a small ant when it comes to the internet. There's so much going on there. You have to figure out a way to speak to a specific group of people and deliver a specific service to help them with a specific problem. You are a nurse practitioner. You are trained to provide a multitude of different healthcare services. So what you need to do, what I challenge you to do, is to figure out a service that you can deliver to a patient that helps fix a specific problem, but not just any patient, a specific group of patients. She's going to be treating nurses. Now, we're all nurses. You don't want to go ahead and just go copy her and just treat nurses, but you need to figure out a specific group of people. All right. If you can figure out a very, very specific group of people and fix a specific problem that affects them, you will do well. I promise you. The more specific you can get, the better. All right. Hope everyone enjoyed that episode. If anyone has any questions, let me know. You guys take care. Bye. Thank you for listening to the show. Quick legal disclaimer. The content of this podcast is meant for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be used as legal, financial, medical, regulatory, or practice-specific advice. For information pertaining to your specific legal, financial, medical, or practice-specific needs, please be sure to consult with your lawyer, CPA, medical director, and or your state's practice laws and the most up-to-date clinical guidelines. As always, do your due diligence when it comes to any information found online and in podcasts. The content in this podcast is copyrighted by Galaxy Medical Southwest 2022 and cannot be duplicated, rebroadcasted, or reproduced without our written permission.